Good morning. I'm Reverend Millie, and thank you for being here. Thank you for the beautiful prayers and the music before now. And today, my talk is about living everyday wonder. That is the global theme for this month. And the topic is you and I are we. So let's think about that a little bit. You and I are we. We're not just us, we are we. And we covers a lot of ground. So our affirmation is I celebrate the we, which is intimately one with itself. What are the chances that we could have to just think about that on a daily basis? The we, which we celebrate, is ultimately the one with itself. So, as we think about that for a minute, I just want to talk about what our focus is this month, and that's relationships. And so, as we celebrate the we in spirit, that is me and you, yes, we are one. And there is no separation between us. I believe that that we have been created in order to celebrate each other in all ways, in love, in peace, in understanding. I know that when I think about relationships, although this month is on it's on the us that we celebrate every day. I look at the relationships as it seems to be expressed in the world right now. There's a great deal of feeling of separation that seems to have us thinking that we're not one with another and therefore we should not love one another. I know that the sense of separation outpictures in the hate crimes that we have experienced here in the United States, in the war that is going on in the Ukraine after Russia's attack. And I think that it's just time for us to really hone in to what is absolutely true. Ourselves as this one people. You know, we've had the Buffalo shooting. We had the shooting in Laguna Hills, California. We had the shooting in Texas in the in Robb Elementary School. And so here we are now reeling from all of these events of violence and trying to pull together that sense of togetherness. How can we do that in the midst of the pain that we are experiencing as a whole people? Because when one suffers, everyone does. When one group suffers, when one group hurts, we all hurt. So, how can we pull this together right now? How can we be the we that we are looking for? So, what fuels hate crimes in the first place? It's a group of people who see themselves as separate from you, from me, and think that you don't deserve the same type of life that they experience. It's like you don't deserve to breathe their air, right? Which sounds really harsh, but these things can come about when we're feeling those senses of separation. So there are 3 points that I would like to speak with you about today. And one of them is this. First, we are individualized expressions of the one source. I want to tell you something that Ernest Holmes said. He said that unity does not mean uniformity. Our unity with other people does not mean that we must think and act as they do. Yet there are groups of people expressing hate toward each other, and they're punishing others because they don't think like they do. Um, People expressing right wing Christianity or anything like that. You're not as good as I am because you don't believe as I believe. Yet we all know that spirit is called by many names. This is a result of all that race has thought or believed. We are immersed in it, and those who are receptive to it are controlled by it. So think about that. That's race consciousness. When you have people that are controlled by what they hear, they believe it, they are immersed in it, and then they just repeat it. And they do this over and over and over again. And the group grows, but now they have the company of others, and they can all be together in their way of thinking, even if it does not include the outside world outside of their group. All groups seek expression along the lines of least resistance. And so sometimes, I don't know, have you ever found yourself just going along with something just because it was easier to do that rather than to think outside of where you were or outside of the box? Are you guilty of that? Are you guilty with just going along with what is being said? By doing this, you're basically feeding the hatred, the discord, the disharmony. You're actually feeding this if you don't step outside of it and say, wait a minute, tell me what your thought patterns are about this. Why do you feel this way? Why is this group of people like this as far as you're concerned? Or why is it wrong for people to think other than what you're thinking? And so these are the things that are governing us right now in this downward spiral, sometimes what appears to be a downward spiral of relationships, one with another, even in families. You know, there's a downward spiral of someone didn't get a booster shot, or if someone does not go to the same church that they do, or if they decide to serve a different meal on the holiday than the traditional. That can cause some discord and some problems. Religious science teaches us that every person is an incarnation of God. And since each person is an individual, everyone is a unique incarnation. How exciting it is for us to know that we're all one people, but we're all different. We don't have to think the same, and yet we're all one in God. We are all one in God. And our relationships that we have, we are here to nurture each other as the individual expressions of our present incarnation. We are here to express so that we can be that face of God. And yet we can add to the faces, we can add to this body of creation that has come about right now during this time. My second point is this, is that you and I are we when we are in service to each other. It is so important to take the time to just be in service one with another. And how can we do that? We can be in service one with another because, or in ways that include serving at homeless shelters, maybe serving in soup kitchens. Maybe we can collect clothes for the needy and take them to shelters. Or maybe we can provide food to the food banks because our food banks are running out of food. They're actually right now, they're pretty low here in the Denver area. And this is something that is always needed: food, clothing. People are homeless, or there's just so many ways in which we can serve this population. And that is by going to the shelters and the food banks and just seeing if that's something, seeing what they need and ask if we can serve them, or volunteer in these places to help each other during these times. This reminds me of the story of the Good Samaritan. Okay, so we're not always here to just serve ourselves, right? Or our own kind, or just in our church, or just in our belief system. I want to give you this little bit about the Good Samaritan. So the story goes with the Good Samaritan is that there was a man who was walking down a road, and he was attacked and beaten and left for dead on the side of the road. And this is in the scriptures. And so there was the Good Samaritan who came by, and the person that was laying on the side of the road, this Good Samaritan was not even supposed to talk to him in any way, have anything to do with him. They were separate in their ways of thinking at the time. But this Good Samaritan did not see this man as separate from himself. He saw him as one in need of health care and one in need of just being carried into a place where they would take care of him. It was, let's say it was at the inn, it was at an inn, and he asked the innkeeper to take care of this gentleman, and he left money for him, and he said that when he comes back through, he would leave more money for the innkeeper to continue to take care of this person. So the Samaritan went out of his way to take care, to make sure that this man was cared for and nurtured, clothed, fed, and healed. Whereas while he was laying out in the road, people walked by him. They took a wide girth around him so that they did not have to even acknowledge him. This is service, when you can serve and care for someone outside of your immediate, say, family or your immediate community, or someone that you don't, a certain group of people that you don't know anything about, but maybe your group does not have anything to do with that group. Some religions are like that. You are of the world if you're not of them. And so therefore, they do not affiliate with you in any way. But if we are in service one to another, we know that we take this time to be just that, in service one to another, no matter what. So other ways that we can do this today, during COVID, and even now during a time when some people are still nervous about coming out. They come out, but it's rarely. They don't gather in groups. Um, they don't really socialize unless it's outside, in a place that is airy and there's lots of space in between. So, what if you have neighbors who are elderly and they don't have anyone to maybe go to the store for them? Maybe they're afraid to get out there and to just be in that place of crowds and people who are walking around unmasked. Um, COVID is still very present in our communities, but what can you do to help them? How can you serve them? How can you be of service? And I think that it's important for us to honor each other by just checking in on one another and seeing how we are. Maybe there are people that you know who are congregants in your organization or in your community, and they can't get to church. Maybe they don't want to go to church because they don't want to be in a crowd. If that's the case, what can you do to assist them? Can you help them with their computers so they can watch the services online? Um, can you ask them if they would be comfortable maybe going, if they had on a mask and you sat in the back and you weren't around a lot of people? What can we do to foster these relationships and to bring ourselves in closer one to another? Today, I feel like my greatest goal in life, my purpose is to bring together people, our people, my people, all of us as people, to bring us together as one and to be in that one heart, that one space of not seeing ourselves one from another and seeing ourselves welcoming one to another, acknowledging each other when we are walking down the street, when we are walking into a store, when we are doing whatever it is we're doing. Can we acknowledge each other as the face of God? Can we look at everyone we're looking at as the face of God? And that is something that I would ask that you practice this week. Practice seeing everyone that you meet as the face of God. And as you see them more and more, and you acknowledge them, look them in the eye and just know that they are the face of God. When you wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and just see yourself as that face of God, as that face that allows you to look beyond the physical into the depth of the spiritual and know that you too are the face of God. Don't get so busy that you don't acknowledge yourself. We have to acknowledge ourselves first, and then just take the time all week long, no matter where you go, and just acknowledge your fellow man and woman, even if it's just with just a face nod, a head nod, or just an acknowledgement, or even just saying hello. Just say hello with your eyes, with your heart, and you will feel the vibrations within you and in the planet, on this planet, elevate. I would like to read something to you, and it is my final thought, really. And what it is about is this. It's about this illusion that we are carrying around in the world right now, and that we are called to change and acknowledge. There is an illusion of separation that pervades the thinking of some people right now. Yet we are one in God, a mosaic of many colors, cultures, practices, languages, ethnicities, but still one with all things and everything, including the thing itself. There's one light, one source that is the source of all beings. We are all expressions of the divine. God did not make us unequal. It breathes each of us with the same breath. We have the same heartbeat, billions of heartbeats beating as one. The sun, the rain, the snow all fall on us equally, the just and the unjust. And when we look into the faces of each other, we are seeing ourselves reflected back. When we see anyone as less than, it's because we feel we are less than. When we see anyone as inferior, it's because we are feeling inferior. It is time to accept that God does not know separation. There is only the family, the human family, of which we are all created to be. This is we. And with that, take that into your heart and just know that as you are one, as you express that love one with another, do so from that place of heart and just stay in constant prayer. And that prayer is always thank you. So thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, love. Thank you, life, for this time. I know these words have been heard and acted upon by that law of mind that just says yes. And I know that we say yes to we. And so it is. Amen.